I'm David Kern.
And I'm Kathleen Kern.
And we've been together
For 4.5 years we've been married, and 6.5 years we've been together.
We want to give you the brief story of our engagement. I purchased the ring here in Richmond, and we were headed to vacation in upstate New York to see her family. And I wanted to make sure to ask the father if it was okay to have her hand in marriage, and I got their approval. And decided I wanted to take her on a hike, which is a preferred activity for me, but not necessarily her first pick if we were going to choose something to do. We went to, what was it, Sleeping Beauty, which was an overlook on Lake George in upstate New York. It's a beautiful place. The hike proved to be a little more arduous than originally planned, as I wasn't very familiar with the area. So I guess about halfway up, it was you and I and our dog, Murphy, who is no longer with us, but we have great memories from that trip with him. And it was about halfway up that I decided maybe this wasn't the greatest hike to go on because we were dying. And I wasn't in the best shape at the time, but we were both leaning on each other, literally and figuratively. Got to the top, had a much-needed break, and
we sat and kind of looked over at the different views, and I noticed I had gone up on one of the rocks a little bit further up, and you were scrambling with something in your pocket. And I remember thinking, what is he doing? And then all of a sudden it kind of hit me. I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
Yeah, I think the fatigue of the climb and my nerves made for an unsteady hand in trying to get the ring out of my pocket. But I ended up popping the question up on top of the hill, and
I quickly said yes.
And I fortunately got the answer I was hoping for.
Yeah.
And the rest of the hike down was pretty much like we floated down. We just glided down the mountain, no fatigue, no tiredness. There was a lot of excitement, and it was funny, our personalities, we kind of did our whole initial planning phase of the wedding and how it was going to work on the way down the mountain.
Yeah.
So by the time we got to the bottom, we pretty much had a good idea of how it was going to work.
Well, I had no reception on my phone, and I could wait to get to a spot where I had reception so I could call my parents. And it's funny because our parents, I'm very, very close with my family, and so is David. And I think we both grew up in really wonderful homes, and our parents have always been our role models. And going into this relationship, or I guess into our marriage, it was filled with joy and excitement, but at the same time, I knew, because I watched my parents, struggle with different issues throughout, they've been married almost 50 years. So I've watched, several years of them going through tough times, and it made me realize that, marriage can be difficult at times. And my mom always taught me that marriage is work. It's all, roses and sweet nothings in the beginning, but once children come into the picture and other things come into play, it becomes more difficult. So I think that's what my parents taught me, and
Yeah, I think our parents are probably the best role models we had, because my parents struggled as well through their marriage, as a lot of couples do, and had a period where they were divorced for a short time and ended up getting back together and getting remarried. Which is a kind of a unique situation, I think, in our day and age. But they're always there for us, both her parents and my parents, and our parents to each other. As the cliche with in-laws, we don't have that cliche. We have great relationships with each other's parents. Our parents get along great, but they're both kind of shining examples of what we kind of aspire to, because we've seen the struggles and we've seen them get through it, and we've seen them in their days now that are very happy with grandkids and things like that. So that's kind of our pursuit, if you will, and our model. But they always give great advice. They always listen. A lot of the traits that we lose sight of in our day-to-day life, we kind of go back to their examples. So we definitely look up to our parents as our examples of our relationship. So
yeah. And we're kind of, at that phase in our marriage now where we have a 3-year-old boy and a 9-month-old girl and working 2 jobs, and it's very hectic and we're all over the place, and
Chaos.
you know, it is a struggle some
It is.
days. But like you said, you know, we look back at our parents and we remember, you know, how they got through it, and you know, pretty confident we'll come out in the end stronger than we are now. So it's all good.
Good. Thank you guys so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.